In my career, I have seen too many messy estates, financial messes when someone passes away. I've got 3 lessons you need to take away from a recent experience. I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Estate planning is one of the 6 areas of your financial life. We tend to want to ignore it or pretend that it doesn't apply to us, and if I pass away, I'm not going to need to worry about it. But here's the deal, guys. We've had a lot of people reach out to us to start a financial planning relationship because they saw how we had the estate plan set up for their folks, for their parents, and this couple saw one of the other parents pass away and how messy it was. And then when their folks passed away that were working with us, they saw how smooth everything was and how organized everything was during such an emotionally trying time. And they say, oh my goodness, that's what we need. And emotionally, we've had people say, I don't want to put my kids through what I just went through, when my in-laws passed away. And so they start a financial planning relationship just purely out of seeing the contrast between estate planning and an estate mess. And secondarily, guys, I would say we work with a lot of folks that are fantastic at doing their own finances, managing their own finances, making great financial decisions. And yeah, our CFPs can provide clarity, confidence, and creativity to them as well. But one of the other reasons why they hire us, why they work with the CFP, is they know for their relationship, for this couple, one is nails and understands the finances, knows where everything is, but also is keenly aware that if they pass away, their spouse is not equipped. Their spouse would not be ready. Their spouse would not know where things are, how to handle things, what to do. And so they're working with the CFP so that a team of people know their financial situation as well as that one individual. So if something happens to them, they're able to help. We're able to help the spouse. So estate planning is extremely important. And in my career, I've been doing this 20 some years now. We've got a team of CFPs. We've seen almost every situation, and we've seen a lot of messes, a lot of estate messes. And recently our team saw one that highlights 3 very critical estate planning points that you need to apply. So scenario is, couple that's been doing financial planning with us reached out and said, dad passed away a couple years ago. Well, mom just passed away and we're dealing with their estate plan right now. Let me run by you what's happening. So here's the first takeaway. Here's the first mess. There were 3 kids. Mom and dad had 3 kids and we're working with the middle child. Well, mom and dad left everything to the oldest child with instructions to then give a share to the middle child and to the youngest child. Now, you might look at this and say, why would anyone do this? No, it's very clear and very logical. You don't know when you're going to pass away. You don't. And so when you're in your 50s or in your 60s, you're looking at your kids, and if you've got a few, you're likely looking at them sort of still starting to, build their financial experience. And you might be looking at the oldest one saying, they're the most responsible, they've got the most financial savvy or financial experience. I want them to manage everything. I want them to handle everything. And you're in your 50s or you're in your 60s and you've got your oldest child that's in their 30s, your middle child that's in their mid-20s, and your youngest that's maybe barely 20. And you might say, they're not able to handle anything. Therefore, we're going to leave everything to the oldest. The oldest is responsible, and they'll distribute the appropriate share to their siblings. Here's the problem. That even at that time, when you're younger, that still has some significant flaws. But certainly as you get older, those flaws become more and more apparent as those kids grow and get older and are all more responsible financially. But here are the primary flaws and the flaws that we're seeing in this situation. That oldest child who receives everything, any of the accounts that are taxable to them when they inherit them, they're all going to be taxable to that one child. All going to be taxable to that one child. In this instance, mom and dad had an IRA. And so this oldest child is going to have to pay tax on all of the IRA. And even if you're thinking and saying, well, it would have been given to all three, they'd all have to pay tax on it. I know, but when this oldest child withdraws the money, that's going to be 3 times as much income landing on their tax return, pushing them into an even higher tax bracket, having them pay more tax on their Social Security, definitely causing an income-related monthly adjustment amount, IRMA, on their Medicare, where it could have been dispersed. So that's one of the primary issues. The second, for the dollars that they receive that aren't taxable, they then have to give them to their siblings, give those assets to their siblings. And whether or not that's going to trigger gift taxes, it will certainly trigger a gift tax return and some complexity, right? That's unnecessary. And then the final sort of ancillary risk or ancillary issue with giving all the money to the oldest and just telling the oldest, you give it to your siblings. What happens, so what if that could take a few months, sometimes 6, 9, 12 months? What if something happens to that oldest individual, that oldest child during that time? While this is still getting sorted out, but it's not yet distributed. What if they pass away? What if they need long-term care services? What if they're married and get divorced? What if they have an accident? What if they have some lawsuit, right? All of this money is theirs, and it has not yet been distributed, and there's nothing legal that says it should be distributed. So leaving everything to one child and then just telling them you give it to the rest of the kids, that is a recipe for a messy estate. Unnecessary. You can divvy it up by having appropriate beneficiaries, having appropriate transfer on death and payable on death, even proper will or trust that says, I want a third to go here, a third here, a third here, or however you want to divvy it up. That alleviates all those risks that I mentioned and certainly keeps things more organized, and during such an emotional time, has things be far, far more cleaner. Second takeaway from this messy estate example, they had over 30 bank accounts alone. Over 30 bank accounts alone. I've seen it. We've seen it where when someone passes away, finances are private. You're not sharing how much money you have with your kids or which bank accounts you use. They then have to go on a scavenger hunt. Let me look at taxes. Let me look at your mail. Let me look at any filing cabinet. And they start rummaging through to try and find clues. They have to be a detective, find clues to where accounts might be at. This couple, they had 30 bank accounts alone, let alone, investment accounts and everything else that were on the side. 30 bank accounts. Guys, that is far too complicated of a situation. I can't think of a justified reason to have that many bank accounts. If you've got a primary checking account, we've always banked here, but you know what? They don't have very good interest rates, and we've got a lot of savings built up, so we want to use CDs over at this other account. That's fine. At this other bank, that's fine. But at most, you should have 2 relationships. And as you get older in your financial life, or as you get older in life, you're going to want to simplify your finances. You will. There is a benefit. There's value to having simplicity. Part of that is this organization for you. As you get older, you don't want to have to worry about, well, where is this? Where is that? I've truly seen people have anxiety because I've got to manage all of this. As they get older, it gets harder to do. That's one. Number 2, making sure you stay on top of ownership and beneficiaries, harder to do if you've got 30 different bank accounts at several different banks, harder to do. And then 3, that primary concern that I mentioned, if something happens to you, will your loved ones know where all of those dollars are? Or is there a risk that some dollars will be lost and overlooked? And then the third takeaway from this messy estate example is they had over $1.5 million that's going to be transferring to this next generation, having to pay probate on almost all of it. Well, you might say, well, they should have gotten a trust. Guys, they had a trust. They had a revocable living trust that they paid an attorney to draft. Why did they still have probate? Nothing was put into the trust. They never took the next step of doing a quick claim deed to put the house in the trust. They never went to the bank or to the multiple banks and had the trust own the bank accounts or have the trust listed as the beneficiary. Their investment accounts, they never took the time to transfer the investment account into the trust or list the trust as the beneficiary. They paid probably a couple $1,000s to an attorney to get a trust opened up, but they never received the value of the trust because dollars or assets were never placed into the trust. And therefore, this $1.5 million all had to go through probate, which lengthens the process before it can be received by the heirs. That's one. Two, there's a cost involved. This probationary period is where an attorney works with the court systems to distribute and transfer ownership, and that's a costly procedure. So this is going to cost them, maybe 5 to 10 grand. That's unnecessary. And then third, it subjects this whole process to others. It's a public process, and I doubt very few estates are contested. But going through probate, it is a contestable process. There's a period where people can come and say, no, I have a claim against this estate, versus if it's in a trust, all of that is seamless and private and efficient. So this one example had 3 very clear lessons, takeaways, that could have simplified this significantly. This estate for these individuals could have saved them a lot of taxes, and the potential risk that we haven't seen yet as to whether this oldest child, so anything will happen to them if they distribute it appropriately, if they keep everything above board. Could have saved a ton of taxes, gift tax returns, a lot of headache. Second, we don't know if any of the accounts have gone missing. We don't know if they're all accounted for or not. With 30 different accounts out there, it's very possible. What if it's 32 and these folks have only found 30? So this disorganized, or things not simple and too complicated, we're not sure. It certainly has cost a lot more time and could cause some dollars to be overlooked. And then finally, having to pay probate when planning, at least even the next step, the implementation of the estate plan, could have avoided all of that. Work with your certified financial planner. Learn from these messy estate examples. And even though we don't like to think about it, we don't like to dwell on it, planning ahead, ensuring that your financial situation has the right structure and organization to transition smoothly if and when something happens to you. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.